Hi, and welcome back to the Travel Becomes Me channel. In today's video, we're going to talk about how to check the financial health of an airline before booking. But first, if this is your first time tuning into one of our videos, I'm Kira. I'm a finance lawyer and author, but most importantly, and probably the reason why you're here, is that I'm a luxury travel enthusiast and educator that's been to over 60 countries and overseas territories using the strategies and tools that I found have been helpful in traveling Lux for less. So let's get into today's topic. So in today's video, we're going to talk about how to check the financial health of an airline before booking travel. I always say that travel can cost a lot, even when you're using cost-saving strategies. So it's good to think of it as an investment, and you want to protect your investment in self-care. And so I do that by making sure that I can go on the trips that I want to take and not run into a scenario, which has happened to quite a few people in recent times, where the airline goes bankrupt, where they shut down operations, things of that nature. And that can be generally avoiding by doing a quick financial health check before you book tickets. So let's get into how you can do that. Now, I'm sure you can remember in the recent past several airlines that have released news reports, and it's made splashes in news about entering financial difficulties, either airlines shutting down or reorganizing, and passengers getting stranded as a result of that. So the interesting thing about it is that oftentimes this really isn't much of a surprise. There are warning signs leading up to sort of the final event that if you did a little bit of research before booking your ticket, you would have been able to be attuned to. So in today's video, we're going to talk a little bit about how to find that information, where it is located, and how easy it really is to find it so that you're protecting your travel investment. This is particularly important if you use low-cost airlines of any regularity, because while not the only type of airline that's susceptible to financial stress, it probably is a good candidate, particularly in economically trying times, for potentially having some kind of financial crisis leading to service disruption. So I will link down below to a blog post that I wrote about this with some of my favorite financial tools and the links to them, but let's go over them briefly. So the first is the IATA Airline Financial Health Monitor. And IATA is an international trade association for airlines, and they publish a quarterly report talking about the financial health of airlines. So in that report, you can find for airline members whether or not an airline is struggling or not, and whether or not you might want to avoid booking with them for the foreseeable future. Two, for airlines that are publicly traded, you can check their financial reporting on stock exchanges where they might be filed. So stock exchange information oftentimes is publicly available, or if you go to the website of the airline, there typically is a link at the very bottom of their website indicating their investor reports and their press releases. And oftentimes they'll give forewarning, because required to by law in some jurisdictions if you're publicly traded, to give your investors a heads up that, hey, I'm having some financial difficulties, you might be cautious. And so that's another good way to identify whether or not an airline is under financial distress. A third way is to look at credit ratings. And so many airlines are rated by credit rating agencies, and depending on the grade that they have received from a rating agency or any recent downgrades in their financial health, that could be a warning sign or an indicator that their financial health is deteriorating. And then lastly, just simply doing a Google search. If you see things popping up for the airline in a Google search saying that they are seeking out additional capital to help them manage their expenses, that this particular airline, there's rumors about it potentially filing for bankruptcy, then you know that it could be a risky situation to book with that airline. Now, while generally I tend to avoid booking with airlines that seem to be under severe financial distress, some people like to take the risk and book anyway. So in that circumstance, I would suggest that you get trip cancellation insurance, and make sure that the trip cancellation insurance also covers contingencies such as airline bankruptcy, so that you would have the ability to book another flight on another airline using the insurance proceeds if it did come to that, if you took the risk of booking with an airline that was in financial distress. So that's it. That's all I want to cover today. And to remind you that it's important to check the financial health of airlines before you book with them, to just make sure you don't end up in a precarious situation. If you have any questions for me, you can leave a comment down below and I'll make sure to answer your question. And I will see you in the next video. Thanks.